The summary of my in-laws. It's a long one. Grab snacks. I used to get along with my mill. I've been with my husband for over 6.5 years, married for almost 2 months, and we have a 10-month-old baby boy. I used to see her regularly as I have a beauty business and she would get one of my services every fortnight. We would talk and have many things in common. She would tell me about the drama with her oldest son. I've never met him, and how his significant other didn't like her and the family and always had an issue. He hasn't been in contact with them for 10 years now since he got married, and has 3 children now that his mother and siblings besides one who he shares a father with haven't met. My mill says she doesn't acknowledge he's her son anymore. Since we started trying for a baby in mid-2021, I started noticing the little comments here and there. Maybe it was myself being sensitive, but she would say things such as, "Don't have kids, they ruin your life." She has 5 kids, 4 technically, since oldest isn't her son apparently anymore. I don't think she's a maternal person. She's not nurturing or kind or empathetic. We struggled to fall pregnant. It took 1.5 years with medical issues between. When we finally announced I was pregnant, I was met with "I told you to relax." It didn't sit well with me since this was never the issue of why I couldn't fall pregnant, but I never said anything because I pick my battles and always was conscious of her saying this other dill of hers had an issue with things they said and she always complained. My mill also invalidated the longevity of us trying to conceive. It wasn't that long. There were a few things my Phil said here and there, such as implying a cesarean isn't giving birth and it's the easy way out. I find his views on many things to be from the 1950s, but TBH, they're both like that. If I'm not cleaning or cooking every day, I feel incredibly judged by them. They also have issues with my Bill's fiancé. We get along great, we have similar parenting styles and a lot of things in common. Since I came into the family, I always heard them making fun of her for her parenting, which I always found odd since I always thought the way she did things was normal. Which always made me feel that if I were to have a child with their son, I'd be their next target. Examples of what they would mock her out would be if they could only come before or after their daughter's nap time, that would be mocked. "We see an only come me off dare an nap me." Or when my Bill's fiancé was standing next to the spa watching her daughter, they would speak about it like she's being too much watching her daughter in water. Little things like that. Also, my husband's ex-girlfriend told my Bill and his fiancé about all the things the family had said about them after my husband broke up with her. She liked her, so she obviously felt a sense of loyalty to let her know what had been happening. So they have always known from early on they've been bitched about. Since we had our son, I gave birth in a private hospital, and they made comments about that when they came to visit us in hospital to meet our son. My mill commented about the windows that didn't open it so women can't jump out after having a baby, and kept implying, "Joking? A baby is awful." I had a pretty traumatic birth and my husband was definitely affected by it, as he had to press the emergency button for my OB. When he was retelling the story to his family, my mill said, "Really? Birth is easy. She loves to invalidate me. They don't like they weren't able to kiss him when he was a newborn up until recently when we let them know they had permission, but they are not allowed to kiss him on the mouth. I'm sure they don't like this either." Phil complained to Bill and his fiancée, "I can't even kiss my effing grandson. These 2 words should never be in the same sentence, and I'm grossed out by his attitude." Mill likes to make comments such as, "We didn't do this and my kids are fine." Okay, but are they? We just let babies sleep. We just put the baby in their room and walked out and listened for them. I have access to the baby camera I bring over for my mill on my phone, and she does not watch nor listen out for him, as I've seen him crying and standing in the cot for ages while she's doing God knows what. Sil was holding our son and put his rude finger up, to which I told her off and she said it's a rite of passage. Sil and her husband smoke and I let them know they can't hold our son after smoking and must put a new top on and basic hygiene, to which my Phil called my husband up disagreeing with it, and my Sil said it's preposterous. In-laws booked a trip to a different state the same weekend as our wedding, assuming the wedding was a month later. They just never bothered to check the date before booking. Lucky they had booked it the day after. Mill said she would have still gone, apparently joking. I told my Mill my husband was sad his father refused to say a speech at our wedding. He finally ended up doing one, telling my husband I bullied him into it, which I did not. And then in the speech they have pen edits of adding me into it, and my Bill's fiancé told me later that they were asking around for a pen during my parents' speech. We visited my Bill, his fiancée and daughter for Christmas under the notion that only my parent-in-laws were also attending. 2 ex-Sils and kids also rocked up without saying anything, so my Bill's fiancé ran around quickly sorting their Christmas presents out. He shoved my son at me saying "all right then" with attitude, and the family left the house 10 minutes later apparently angry. My Mill takes care of our son weekly, at the time was looking after him at our house because her aircon wasn't working in the summer, and I saw on the cameras out the front of our house my Sil had stopped by and was holding him. So it was safe to assume she had smoked already that morning and disregarded our boundary once again. I asked my husband to say something, to which he called my Mill and asked her if Sil smoked. She said she didn't smell like it but she wouldn't be disrespectful. Yes, she would. My family have been very nice to my in-laws, but in-laws still like to mention to my Bill and his fiancée they can't keep up with her family. Not sure what this means, but my family are normal and undramatic and kind, so they're probably insecure. My husband loves my family. My sister invited them to her son's first birthday party as a gesture of we are all family since we share a family member, and my Phil never said hello to her or her partner. None of them said hello to my sister's partner, which I think could be racism since he's of a different ethnicity, and I always hear them saying racist jokes not about him, in general, but I tell them off. I haven't heard one for a while, so probably behind my back. Now Mill looked after our son at our house. When I came home, she made a point of telling me I changed his clothes because they were dirty from crawling around on the floor, telling our son who was in his playroom that's fenced in and trying to escape, don't worry, at Nanny's house you can go wherever you want. My in-laws went on a small overseas trip the past week. I had to ask my Mill about a month ago when were the dates so I could sort my son out with someone else or daycare. Her response: oh, I didn't even think of that. I understand her life doesn't revolve around looking after her grandson, but damn, what about if the day before she still hadn't told me the reason why they tell my Bill and his fiancée their issues and not me or my husband is because they avoid confrontation for the longest time until they decide to blow it all up. That is why they're telling my Bill and his fiancée these things, because they've been holding back for years and had a long conversation with them late last year. Nothing got fixed. They were nasty to my Bill's fiancée, such as my Phil yelling at her, both gaslighting her, bringing up irrelevant things, getting mad because she doesn't parent her child the way they like it, but then they would bring up the past? Bill's fiancée's past issues were my family member overheard Mill and Sil speaking shit about me at our daughter's second birthday party at my house, whilst my in-laws' past issues were you took our son away to live in your hometown, which is an hour away and frankly too far for us to drive, and not worth to see our granddaughter who doesn't even know us because we only see her for birthdays, Christmas, Easter. My sister is happy to have my son every fortnight so he can also spend time with his cousin whilst I'm at work, so my Mill will only have him every fortnight. I see Mill on Wednesday when I drop him off, so I'm going to let her know and see if she complains to my Phil, and then we'll see if he calls my husband up. If anything happens, I'll just put him in daycare because my sister can't take him weekly. I don't think they will say anything though because my husband is a lot more defensive than my Bill. He's their golden child and they wouldn't want to ruin their relationship with him. I don't want my Phil near my child unless I'm present. The way he spoke to Bill's fiancée disgusted me, and if he can yell at her, he can yell at me, and I don't know what he would do in front of my child. My husband's stance on everything? She was just joking. You don't know my mother's humor, why don't you say something? I don't know what annoys you. I'm very aware this is a husband issue. Working on it. Bill's fiancée said Bill used to be the exact same, until he realized what his family are really like. He is LC now. Older brother and his wife are NC. It's nice because Bill and older brother are now back in contact, but in-laws hate this and feel betrayed. How dare Bill see his brother? Appalling. My husband refuses to get back into contact with his older brother because he doesn't want to hurt his parents' feelings, and only will see him if they see him. Sigh. Enmeshed feels like an understatement. They sound bloody awful. Can you get your significant other into therapy to get his head out of the fog? Edit. Your comment about this post being long and grab snacks gave me a good chuckle. Smiley face.